We would have to wait until the beginning of the 20th century for this bust to be discovered among the ruins of the ancient town of Amarna for Nefertiti to become famous once again.
For more than 3,000 years, the death of Queen Nefertiti has remained one of history's biggest mysteries. Her face became a symbol of beauty, but the story of her final days seemed to disappear without a trace. Then ancient hieroglyphs, forgotten records, and new discoveries started raising shocking questions. Did they finally reveal what really happened to Egypt's most powerful queen? Did she die from illness, betrayal, or something even more frightening? And if people knew the truth long ago, why was it hidden from history? What if everything we believed was wrong? Join us in this video as we reveal the details. Ancient hieroglyphs finally reveal how Nefertiti actually died. For more than 3,000 years, one question has continued to puzzle historians and archaeologists. What really happened to Queen Nefertiti? She was one of the most famous women in ancient Egypt. Her face is known around the world because of the beautiful bust discovered in 1912. But while people know what she looked like, nobody has ever been able to say with complete certainty how she died or where she was buried. That mystery has refused to go away. Instead, it has only become deeper as new discoveries continue to raise more questions than answers. Allegedly, the answer may have been hidden in plain sight for more than 100 years. Some researchers believe an unnamed mummy discovered inside an ancient tomb could actually belong to Nefertiti. Others strongly disagree. The debate continues because the evidence points in different directions. One thing is certain: the story of Nefertiti did not end in a simple or peaceful way. Nefertiti was the great royal wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten. She was not like most queens who simply stood beside their husbands during ceremonies. She appeared almost everywhere the king appeared. Ancient carvings showed her taking part in important religious events and royal ceremonies. In some scenes, she was even shown wearing the crown normally connected with rulers. She was also shown raising a weapon against Egypt's enemies. That was an image usually reserved only for kings. Because of this, many historians believe she held far more power than an ordinary queen. Some even believe she ruled beside Akhenaten as an equal. During their time together, Egypt changed in ways never seen before. Akhenaten decided to replace the old religion with the worship of only one god, the Aten, represented by the sun disk. This decision shocked the entire country. Egypt had worshipped many gods for thousands of years. Powerful priests controlled huge temples, owned large amounts of land, and possessed enormous wealth. Akhenaten closed many of these temples and stopped the old religious practices. He even moved the royal family away from the old capital and built a completely new city in the desert. Nefertiti stood beside him during all of these changes. The priests lost their power, their money, and their influence. Although they could not stop the king while he ruled, many believe they waited patiently for the right time to take everything back. Then, something unexpected happened. Around the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, Nefertiti suddenly disappeared from official records. One year, she was everywhere. The next year, she was gone. There was no clear announcement of her death. No funeral records have ever been found. No confirmed tomb has ever been discovered. For a queen as important as Nefertiti, this silence is very unusual. Egyptian rulers normally prepared large tombs long before they died. Their walls were covered with writings and pictures. Their names were repeated many times because the Egyptians believed a person's name had to survive for the soul to live forever. Yet, in Nefertiti's case, almost nothing remains. This strange disappearance has led to many different theories. One explanation says she may have died during a terrible disease that spread across the ancient world. Ancient letters written between kings mention a deadly sickness that moved through many lands. Around the same period, several members of Egypt's royal family also disappeared from history. Some historians believe they died from this outbreak. Allegedly, Nefertiti may have been one of its victims. But this explanation creates another mystery. Even if she died from disease, where is her body? Why has nobody found her royal burial? Why was there no great funeral for one of Egypt's most powerful women? These questions have never received clear answers. Another theory is even more surprising. Some researchers believe Nefertiti never disappeared at all. Instead, they think she changed her royal name and became a ruler known as Neferuaten. Around the same time Nefertiti vanished, a new ruler with that name appeared beside Akhenaten. Ancient writings suggest this ruler was female. Interestingly, Neferuaten was also a name connected with Nefertiti earlier in her life. Because of this, some historians believe she simply took on a new identity after gaining even greater power. Allegedly, she may have ruled Egypt as a king rather than as a queen. If this theory is true, then history has been looking at the same woman under two different names all along. There is another detail that keeps this mystery alive. When Akhenaten's stone coffin was made, the usual protective goddesses were replaced with images of Nefertiti herself. This was highly unusual. It showed how important she had become. It also suggests she remained close to the king until the end of his life. If she truly ruled beside him or after him, it would explain why some powerful people later wanted her memory completely erased. What if the biggest clue to Nefertiti's fate has been sitting inside an ancient tomb for more than 100 years? Stay tuned for more. The Nameless Mummy and the Search for the Truth. More than 100 years after Nefertiti disappeared from history, a discovery inside an ancient tomb gave researchers a new mystery to solve. In 1898, French archaeologist Victor Loret entered a tomb in the Valley of the Kings known as Cave 35. Inside one of its side rooms, he found 3 royal mummies lying next to one another. They had no names written on them. Their wrappings had been damaged by ancient tomb robbers, and many of the objects buried with them had been stolen long before they were found again. One of these mummies belonged to a young woman. Since nobody knew her identity, she became known simply as the Younger Lady. At first, some even believed the body belonged to a man because the head had been completely shaved. Later examinations proved the mummy belonged to a woman who had once received a careful royal burial. That discovery only made the mystery even greater. When experts studied the mummy closely, they found several injuries that immediately caught their attention. The most serious was a deep wound on the left side of the jaw and face. The damage was severe. Some researchers believe the injury happened while she was still alive. Allegedly, it may even have been the blow that took her life. Others disagree. They believe the damage happened many years after her death, when grave robbers broke into the tomb while searching for gold and valuable objects. The truth remains uncertain because the body has been handled many times over thousands of years. Besides the injury to the face, the mummy also showed damage to the chest and ribs. One arm also appeared to have been broken. Even today, experts continue to debate exactly when these injuries happened. Another interesting detail was the position of the body. One arm rested across the chest, a pose that has often been linked with members of the royal family. This suggested that whoever she was, she had once been buried with great honor before later losing her identity. The mystery became even more famous in 2003 when British Egyptologist Joanne Fletcher announced that she believed the Younger Lady was actually Nefertiti. She pointed to several details that seemed to support her idea. The mummy had a shaved head with marks that may have come from wearing a royal head covering. Pieces of a Nubian-style wig were also discovered nearby. Nefertiti was often shown wearing a similar style. The mummy also had double ear piercings, something believed to have been connected with members of the royal family. Allegedly, all of these clues suggested the unidentified woman could have been Egypt's famous queen. The idea attracted worldwide attention. Many people believed the mystery had finally been solved. However, not everyone agreed. Several Egyptologists argued that the evidence was not strong enough to prove the claim. The debate continued for several more years until modern science entered the investigation. In 2010, researchers carried out DNA testing on several royal mummies from the same family. The results changed the discussion completely. According to the study, the Younger Lady was the biological mother of Tutankhamun. The tests also suggested she was the full sister of the man many historians identify as Pharaoh Akhenaten. If those results are correct, then the Younger Lady was a daughter of Pharaoh Amenhotep III and Queen Tiye. This created a major problem for the Nefertiti theory. Throughout history, Nefertiti was never described as a king's daughter. If she had been born as the daughter of a pharaoh, historians believe that important title would almost certainly have appeared in official inscriptions. Because it does not appear anywhere, many experts concluded that the younger lady was probably another royal woman instead of Nefertiti. Even so, the mystery did not completely disappear. Some researchers argue that Egypt's royal family married close relatives for many generations. Brothers married sisters. Cousins married cousins. Fathers sometimes married daughters. Because of these repeated family marriages, interpreting ancient DNA can be difficult. Allegedly, the family relationships may not be as simple as they first appear. For that reason, a small number of experts continue to question whether the official family tree is completely correct. Although most historians now believe the younger lady was probably not Nefertiti, the debate has never fully ended. In 2015, another theory brought fresh excitement. British Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves studied detailed scans of Tutankhamun's tomb. He noticed faint lines hidden beneath the painted walls. Allegedly, these lines looked like sealed doorways leading to hidden rooms. Reeves suggested that Tutankhamun's small tomb may originally have been built for a queen, possibly Nefertiti, before the young king died unexpectedly and was buried there instead. If this idea is correct, then one of history's greatest discoveries may still be waiting behind those walls. So far, however, no hidden burial chamber has been confirmed. Because of that, the fate of Nefertiti remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in ancient Egypt. Before Nefertiti became Egypt's most powerful queen, who was she, really? And where did she come from? Let's delve deeper. The hidden story behind Nefertiti's early life and rise to power. Long before Queen Nefertiti became one of the most famous women in history, her own story was already surrounded by mystery. Even today, nobody knows exactly where she came from or who her parents were. Historians have searched for answers for many years, but no final proof has ever been found. Because of this, several different theories have been suggested. One of the most accepted ideas says Nefertiti was the daughter of a powerful royal advisor named Ai. He served the royal family for many years and later became pharaoh himself after the death of King Tutankhamun. Since Ai became one of the most powerful men in Egypt, many researchers believe it would make sense if Nefertiti had been his daughter. However, no document has ever been discovered that clearly proves this relationship. Because of that, the idea remains only a theory. Another group of historians believes Nefertiti may have been closely related to Pharaoh Akhenaten himself. Allegedly, she may have been his sister or perhaps his cousin. This idea may sound unusual today, but it was not unusual in ancient Egypt. Members of the royal family often married their own relatives. They believed this helped keep the royal bloodline pure and protected the family's right to rule. Since these marriages happened many times throughout Egypt's history, some researchers believe Nefertiti could easily have been born into the same royal family. Still, there is no solid proof that confirms this idea either. There is also another interesting possibility. Some historians believe Nefertiti may not have been Egyptian at all. Allegedly, she could have been a princess from the kingdom of Mitanni named Tadukipa. This theory is based partly on the meaning of her name. Nefertiti means, "the beautiful woman has come." Some researchers believe those words may suggest that she arrived in Egypt from another country. If that happened, she may have entered Egypt through a royal marriage arranged to strengthen political ties between two kingdoms. However, once again, no evidence has ever been found to settle the argument. Her true family remains one of history's greatest unanswered questions. Although many details about her childhood have been lost, historians believe Nefertiti married Amenhotep IV when she was around 15 years old. At that time, he had not yet become pharaoh. Soon afterward, he inherited the throne and later changed his name to Akhenaten. Together, they ruled Egypt for many years. Unlike many royal couples from ancient times, they were often shown together in public artwork. They appeared beside one another during ceremonies, religious celebrations, and family events. Many carvings also showed them with their daughters. According to ancient records, they had 6 daughters together. Some historians also believe they may have had one son, although that has never been proven. One thing that has always caught the attention of researchers is the way the couple appeared in ancient artwork. They were often shown smiling, standing close together, and even kissing each other in public scenes. This was very unusual for Egyptian royal art. Most kings and queens were shown in formal poses without showing personal affection. Because of these unusual images, some historians believe Nefertiti and Akhenaten may have shared a genuine love for one another instead of simply being political partners. Whether this was true or not can never be known for certain, but their artwork certainly gives that impression. As queen, Nefertiti was far more than a royal wife. She carried many important titles throughout her life. Ancient inscriptions called her hereditary princess, great of praises, lady of grace, sweet of love, lady of the two lands, and mistress of Upper and Lower Egypt. These titles were not simply decorations. They showed how much responsibility she carried inside the royal palace. She served as high priestess of the Aten, the sun god worshipped during Akhenaten's reign. This position made her one of the most important people in the kingdom. According to the new religious system, ordinary people could not worship Aten directly. Instead, they reached the god through Akhenaten and Nefertiti. This gave the royal couple enormous religious power. Allegedly, no one else held the same level of spiritual authority during that period. Because she controlled both political and religious influence, many historians believe Nefertiti became one of the strongest women Egypt had ever seen. Her growing power would later make her one of the most talked-about queens in history. Yet while her influence became greater with every passing year, another mystery was quietly taking shape, one that would continue to puzzle the world thousands of years after her death. If Nefertiti became one of the most powerful women in history, why does her most famous image still hide so many secrets? Let's take a closer look. The famous bust, the missing eye, and the battle over Nefertiti's legacy. Although many ancient statues of kings and queens have been discovered, none has become as famous as the painted bust of Queen Nefertiti. Today, millions of people recognize her face because of this remarkable sculpture. It has appeared in books, museums, documentaries, and history lessons around the world. For many people, it represents the very image of beauty in ancient Egypt. Yet, despite its fame, the bust has created almost as many questions as answers. One of the biggest mysteries can be seen immediately. One of the eyes looks complete and lifelike, while the other eye is completely blank. For more than 100 years, historians have tried to explain why the sculpture was left this way. Many different ideas have been suggested, but no one has been able to prove which explanation is correct. One theory says the queen may have suffered from an eye condition during her lifetime. Allegedly, she may have had a natural problem with one eye, and the sculptor simply copied her real appearance. However, there is no medical evidence to support this idea. Another explanation says the missing eye was never meant to stay blank. Some experts believe the sculpture was simply left unfinished before the artist stopped working on it. Others think the second eye may once have been in place, but later fell out or was damaged over the thousands of years that followed. Since the bust has survived for more than 3,000 years, it is possible that some parts disappeared naturally over time. There is also a romantic story that has become popular over the years. According to this legend, the sculptor who created the bust, Thutmose, allegedly fell deeply in love with Queen Nefertiti. The story claims that she did not return his feelings. Because of his broken heart, he supposedly left one eye unfinished to show that she could not see the love he felt for her. It is an interesting story, but historians generally agree that there is no evidence proving it ever happened. Even so, the legend continues to capture the imagination of many people because it adds another layer of mystery to the Queen's remarkable story. Modern science has also revealed something surprising about the famous bust. For many years, people believed the sculpture showed exactly what Nefertiti looked like during her lifetime. Then researchers used modern CT scanning technology to look beneath the painted surface without damaging the artwork. What they discovered surprised many experts. Hidden beneath the smooth outer layer was another face carved into the stone. This hidden face looked slightly different from the one the world had admired for generations. The scans showed a small bump along the bridge of the nose. They also revealed wrinkles around the cheeks and mouth. The face beneath the surface looked older and less perfect than the polished version everyone recognized. These discoveries led many researchers to believe the sculptor deliberately improved the Queen's appearance before completing the final version. Allegedly, the artist wanted to create the perfect image of royal beauty, instead of showing every natural detail. Others believe Pharaoh Akhenaten may have ordered that his queen should appear as the ideal woman in every official work of art. Whatever the reason may have been, the famous face displayed in museums today was probably not an exact copy of Nefertiti's real appearance. It appears to have been carefully refined to present an image of perfection that matched her royal status. The journey of the bust itself is almost as remarkable as the woman it represents. In 1912, German archaeologists discovered the sculpture during excavations in Egypt. Soon afterward, it was taken to Germany under official permission that remains controversial even today. Allegedly, the approval for removing the sculpture from Egypt was obtained under circumstances that many people still question. At that time, Egypt was under foreign influence, making the legal situation extremely complicated. Because of this, disagreements over ownership have continued for more than a century. By 1913, the bust was placed on display in Berlin, where visitors quickly admired its extraordinary beauty. During World War II, the sculpture faced another dangerous chapter. As the war spread across Europe, many valuable works of art were hidden to protect them from destruction. The Nefertiti bust was secretly moved and stored away with other priceless treasures. Historical accounts state that Adolf Hitler reportedly refused to give up the famous sculpture because he considered it one of Germany's greatest treasures. After the war ended, American soldiers searched for hidden collections of artwork and eventually found the bust inside a salt mine where it had been safely stored. The sculpture was later transferred to a museum in West Berlin. Many years later, after the original museum had been rebuilt following wartime damage, the bust returned there in 2009, where it remains on display today. Even now, the story is not over. The Egyptian government continues to argue that the sculpture belongs in Egypt and should be returned to its homeland. German officials maintain that the bust was legally acquired under the rules that existed at the time. Because of these conflicting views, the ownership of one of history's most famous works of art remains the subject of ongoing international debate. What really happened to Nefertiti after she reached the height of her power? Let's learn more. The Queen Who Vanished, Nefertiti's Final Mystery. Queen Nefertiti was not only known for her beauty and political power, many historians also believe she was seen as a symbol of life and fertility. Ancient artwork often showed her with her 6 daughters. These pictures appeared again and again on temple walls and royal carvings. Because of this, some researchers believe the people of Egypt may have seen her as more than just a queen. Allegedly, she was viewed as a living symbol of motherhood, new life, and the future of the royal family. There is no ancient record that clearly says she was worshipped as a fertility goddess. Even so, the way artists showed her again and again with her children has made many historians believe she held a very special place in both religion and royal life. Nefertiti was also different from other queens because of the crown she wore. She designed a tall blue crown that became one of her most famous symbols. Unlike the crowns worn by earlier queens, this one stood high above her head and gave her a powerful appearance. Some historians believe the crown was created as the female version of the blue war crown worn by Egyptian pharaohs. Allegedly, it was meant to show that she shared power with her husband and was much more than a royal wife. The crown helped present her as a strong ruler who stood beside the king as an equal. Today, whenever people see pictures or statues of Nefertiti, the tall blue crown is usually the first thing they notice. One of the most surprising stories connected to Nefertiti happened after the death of her husband, Akhenaten. According to ancient records, she allegedly sent a letter to Suppiluliuma I, asking him to send one of his sons to Egypt so she could marry him. In the message, she explained that her husband had died and that she had no son to rule the country. She also said she was afraid of marrying one of her own officials. This request shocked the Hittite king because Egyptian queens almost never married foreign princes. Even so, he agreed to help and sent his son, Prince Zanansa, to Egypt. Sadly, the prince never reached the palace. Allegedly, his life was taken while traveling to Egypt. Nobody knows exactly who was responsible for his death, and the truth has remained a mystery for thousands of years. Some historians believe this failed marriage plan may have changed Nefertiti's life forever. Allegedly, Many powerful people in Egypt saw her decision as an act of betrayal because she wanted to marry a foreign prince. According to this theory, important members of the royal court may have decided to remove her from power. Some researchers even believe she may have been assassinated soon afterward. Others disagree completely. They believe she stepped aside peacefully and allowed her young stepson, Tutankhamun, to become king. Because no confirmed tomb, burial, or written record explains what happened next, nobody can say for certain how her story ended. Her disappearance remains one of the greatest mysteries of ancient Egypt. What if Nefertiti wasn't the only member of her family to mysteriously disappear? Let's find out. The queen who vanished but was never forgotten. After Pharaoh Akhenaten died, Egypt entered a time of confusion and change. Historians still do not fully know who ruled the country before Tutankhamun became king. One popular theory says Nefertiti may have stepped forward and ruled Egypt herself. Allegedly, she may have taken the royal name Smenkhkare and ruled as a pharaoh instead of as a queen. Ancient records speak about a ruler with that name, but very little is known about this person. Some researchers believe Smenkhkare may actually have been Nefertiti using a new identity. A few damaged carvings and old writings seem to show a ruler wearing the symbols of a king while also being connected to Nefertiti. She was also given special titles near the end of Akhenaten's rule. These titles were normally only given to male pharaohs. Even though there is no final proof, many experts still study this idea because it could explain why both Nefertiti and Smenkhkare suddenly disappeared from history. Another mystery comes from the treasures found inside Tutankhamun's tomb. Some of the royal objects appear to have been made for a woman before they were changed for a man. Allegedly, experts found signs that female words were removed and replaced with male ones. This has led some scholars to believe the items may have first belonged to Nefertiti or another powerful royal woman before they were placed in Tutankhamun's tomb. No one knows for certain who first owned these objects, but they continue to raise many questions about what happened after the Amarna royal family lost power. The mystery does not end there. Nefertiti had 6 daughters who often appeared beside their parents in royal art and religious ceremonies. Their names were written on palace walls and monuments, showing they were important members of the royal family. Then, one by one, they disappeared from the records. Allegedly, some may have died from illness, while others may have been caught in the political troubles of the time. Sadly, no confirmed tombs or mummies have been found for most of them. One daughter, Ankhesenamun, became especially famous after Tutankhamun died. Many historians believe she wrote a letter to the Hittite king asking him to send one of his sons to become her husband because she did not want to marry anyone in Egypt. After that, Ankhesenamun also disappeared from history. No one knows what happened to her. While so much about Nefertiti and her family has been lost, one thing survived. Her famous limestone bust remained hidden inside a sculptor's workshop for more than 3,300 years. It stayed safe while many other monuments were destroyed or forgotten. Today, it is one of the most famous works of art from ancient Egypt. Allegedly, many historians believe that although people may have tried to erase Nefertiti from history, they failed. Her face survived, and her story continues to inspire people around the world. What do you think happened to Queen Nefertiti? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us as we explored the enduring mystery of Queen Nefertiti and the secrets that may still be buried beneath the sands of ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed this journey into one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries, please like and subscribe. Click on the next video to uncover another fascinating story. See you there.